Are you struggling with your garden this summer? To answer some frequently asked questions, we explore gardening on the wild side.
Hi, my name's Kara Bussebarger. I'm here at the Louisville Zoo today with horticulture manager John Glenn. Now, the Louisville Zoo sits on 134 plus acres of land, which includes many exotic plants, trees, and grasses. Now, for some of us that just kind of tend gardens on the weekend, John, this can seem like an unfathomable task. How does you and your team do it?
Well, we actually have a lot of fun with it because we are working in so many different situations. We have the gorilla forest, which is an African exhibit. We have the Asian orangutans, which is an Asian exhibit. And we all have to work within those areas and make it look like you're going to different parts of the world. So it's a lot of fun for us, but we still have the opportunity to do what we do in Louisville and work with home garden situations. So it's kind of fun.
Great. Now, some visitors to the zoo recently had asked you and your team some questions. Are you up for the challenge today to answer those?
I hope so, but I think I can.
Well, John, our first question comes from Linda from Prospect. She asked, I have an apple tree I bought 4 years ago. It's growing well, is dense with long straight limbs, but it isn't producing like I'd planned. What can I do to help? And what do I need to do to have the fruit like the photo showed when I purchased the tree?
Oh, this is a great question. I'm asked this all the time. Fruit trees in Kentucky are a very high maintenance issue. The reason her tree isn't producing fruit sounds like she has a lot of what we call water sprouts. A water sprout is a long, straight branch that will not produce fruit. Apple trees have what we call a spur, and it looks like your thumb. It's a short, stubby branch, and that's the branch that's going to produce fruit. What you have to do with your apple tree is go in and trim all those water sprouts out. Open the tree up, and then go from that point. But the water sprouts are actually taking energy from the tree and thus reducing the way the fruit is being produced and the quality of fruit. Now, I love the question, the fruit doesn't look like what it looked on the photograph.
Right.
Well, the photograph is under perfect conditions. And I'm often asked, can I do apple trees or fruit trees without chemicals? No, you can't. It's just a fact of life. If you want the supermarket quality fruit, you're going to have to use chemicals. Sorry, that's the way it is. There are organic varieties, but they still have pest problems. If you don't mind a few pests, a few worms in your apples, you can cut them out. And if you don't mind fruit that looks ugly, it's still good. So just, you'll have to deal with that. But I would like to tell you about what we call antique plants or heirloom plants. Back in the 1800s, there were over 500 varieties of apple trees because there were so many uses for apples. They stored them, they used them for desserts, they used them for applesauce.
Wow.
There were so many different things. And if you go to the computer and look up heirloom apple varieties, you'll find a tremendous amount. And there's actually a nursery in Indiana that's growing these old varieties. So I'd ask you to explore that because they're wonderful apples. They give you much better flavor. Hopefully you've seen in supermarkets lately all the different varieties coming in like Fuji, Cameo, and Sonic, and I think there were some others. So look for the different varieties. Another great resource is the County Extension Office, and you're going to hear that a lot from me and my staff. Look up your local county extension office and ask them for all the information they have on your variety of fruit tree. There's so many different pamphlets on pears, apples, plums, apricots. You wouldn't believe the information that's available.
Great. Our next question comes from John from Old Louisville. He asked, I have a narrow space which receives a lot of sun, and I need to screen the house next door. What can I use that will reach just below the second floor windows?
Well, actually, there are a lot of choices. Ketherite juniper, arborvitae, Those are the two evergreen choices I'd use. And then for a shorter one, Nandina, but it'll never go 20 feet. For a shade tree, if you want to get something a little bit taller, there are narrow varieties of shade trees such as ginkgo and maple.
Now, John, Sarah from Indiana asked, I don't have a green thumb, but I love plants in my house. What is an easy indoor plant you can't kill? P.S. I have a busy lifestyle.
Probably the best plant you can do is Azizi. Guess what? This is Azizi. And this is a tough plant. You can't kill it unless you overwater it. And that's probably the worst thing you can do is overwater houseplants. To do that, to check if you're overwatering, feel that soil. If it's dry, water. If it's wet, don't water. That's it.
Now that plant doesn't need any type of sun exposure or anything to sit by a window or?
Actually, all plants need a little bit of sun. This one can tolerate being in dark rooms, but they have to have just a little bit. Another good house plant is the cast iron plant, Spathiphyllum, or they call it peace lily, and LA palm, which we have right behind us. So there are other opportunities, but go with the tough, hardy stuff that everybody knows is going to live. That's the easiest way.
John, Sean from Anchorage has a problem. He has a small book table under a ficus tree. The table has a clear, sticky substance all over it. He's looked for bugs, but he can't figure out what is going on.
That's easy. That's an easy solution. What's going on is you have a bug called scale. Scale takes sap from the plant, it goes through its body and comes out the other end, and then falls on the table, and it's sticky. It's called honeydew. That's what's going on. The way to get rid of it, you have to spray it with dormant oil, and you have to do that several times. Now, I've mentioned dormant oil before. Dormant oil can't be applied when it's too hot. Your temperature range is 50 to 65. Anything over that, the plant will basically cook, like in the greenhouse here. So you have to be careful when you spray it. But you've got scale. And to get the sticky stuff off your coffee table, warm soapy water, and that will take care of it.
Now, John, can that oil be purchased at a local greenhouse or super center?
Yes, normally you can find it at a good feed and seed place, a super center. There are several local garden centers that will carry it also.
Great. Sam from Floyd's Fork says he has an arundo and he needs to trim it, but it hurts his arms to cut with loppers. What can he use?
It hurts my arms to cut it with loppers. What I use is a weed eater with a metal blade on it, or even a chainsaw. I don't like chainsaws. They scare me. I've seen what happens if it kicks back on you. But I'd suggest the weed eater with the metal blade. Take it down about 4 inches off the ground. It will spread on you, and it makes it easier on your arms.
Now, John, our last question is from Sandy from Louisville. She asks, what is a good ground cover for shade?
This is a good question. I'm often asked this all the time. Ground covers are a difficult situation because we have several that are invasive to our environment here in Kentucky. Ones I would not use would be euonymus and vinca. The others that I would use are liriope and dead nettle and pachysandra. Be careful with pachysandra because we do have some wilt issues with that, and that what happens there is it gets into the plant and you'll lose the whole stand. But if you buy from a good garden center or nursery, that will be reduced. If you have had pachysandra in that area and it's died off, you have that wilt issue, don't replant it. Liriope and dead nettle.
John, I just want to thank you for letting me come out today and spend time with you at the Louisville Zoo. Now, this is a new segment on Metro TV with the Zoo partnership, and so thank you for answering the viewers' questions. Now, if the viewers have questions and they want to try to stump John and his team, there's a way you can do it.
Oh, you can go to email and send it to
metrotv@louisvilleky.gov. Thanks and have a great day.
Thank you.
Metro TV, a public service of Louisville Metro Government.